set, go.
Is this thing on?
I can never get enough volume.
That is exactly right. It's about darn time.
And by the time this thing is over, we're going to need some Valium.
Well, there you are, the Valium jokes again, huh?
Hey, I'm the nurse. I have to have a medication in there listed.
You say that like I have. Oh, my Lord. Is that,
Correct. What was that?
I reached for that joke. Somebody over there was.
Have to represent the nurses.
Yes.
Ah, yes, that's exactly right.
Yes.
We got, so finally got Kanan back. It was wonderful to have somebody to, the wingman, once again, to fill in the opening, whatever that is. We got Kanan and Mariah. Man, I got notes and I'm stammering this bad. What is wrong with me?
We just got to get on fire here. You're just a little ember right now.
Fire for Jesus, amen.
Right. Preach it, brother. Preach it.
Who was that? All right, we got Kanan and Mariah here tonight. Missy, you're also here.
I am.
And, which is nice because your schedule's getting more hectic.
I'm a busy woman. I am in high demand.
And tonight we have another guest. We have Nichole Munson. How you doing, Nichole? Oh, man. See, I stuttered the name.
What?
Sorry. How you doing, Nichole? Let me try it again.
Doing well. Nervous, but well.
You're nervous.
Don't feel nervous.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
Yeah,
nervous. I do get nervous around Kanan, but it's for a completely different reason.
He's worried. He's afraid to pick up the soap.
Don't act like you don't enjoy it.
Oh, Jay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Lord.
It's all a cover. He's trying to, but in the behind closed doors, he's asking, hey, when's our next meetup?
No, he's wanting to be the big spoon next time.
Yeah.
I do. Got to change it up sometimes.
Oh, man.
He's tired of being the little spoon.
Little spoon.
Little spoon. That's our nickname from now on.
Little spoon, big spoon.
Oh, man. Oh, man. We are really going to be hated by the CHM after tonight.
I do not care.
Yeah.
I do not care.
They don't hate us already.
They already hate us.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
Yeah, no.
you want to start jumping
first
into
of all,
things?
it was just election day. We tried to do this earlier, 2 days ago, and I was going to mention we was going to record it on election day,
Right.
And everybody was spazzing out, and I was just curious. Do any of you guys get as uptight about election day as my coworkers do, or I don't get as much anymore, but I used to.
I think I get more excited about the presidential ones, but like the ones I really should get excited about, because the home state is when like the big election stuff's going on, because that's when it really matters. Because they make the most impact. But yeah, I wasn't too excited about this one. I'll be honest.
I think I took a nap that day.
A lot of the guys that, at work and stuff, they get all uptight about it. What I do find a little bit interesting is hearing all of the pundits and talk show hosts the next day try to explain how they actually weren't wrong all along.
Well, like that Greg Locke guy who was constantly talking about, he was like, oh yeah, so I knew Trump was going to win, and he won really, but they stole the election or whatever. I'm like, oh.
Exactly right.
Yeah, old.
All right, on to bigger and better topics.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. I want to know who's been preaching on us, because
yes,
somebody's guilty, because the Karen's been coming out the old proverbial woodwork. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, my, yes.
The Karens.
The Karens.
Oh, the Karen.
The ones
Karens of the world.
I want to talk to your manager. You should be ashamed of yourself ones.
Yes,
Yes,
those.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those. And it just seemed like all of a sudden the stuff started surging, and so I'm sitting there and I'm reading it, and I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. Why all of a sudden right now? So I want to know.
Yes.
We got to know who this was.
If someone has mentioned us in a sermon, please leave the link below. We would like to listen to this because we enjoy listening to all the hate. But
anyways,
well, do you guys remember when we very first started this? We're like, hey, if you have hate mail, right into here.
I was thinking about that.
Yes.
And and so now, we are doing that, but now we constantly have hate mail.
Yeah. And it's
pretty
not
funny.
fake. It's all real.
It's all real stuff too.
Oh yeah, it's all real. Yeah, none of it's made up. It's pretty funny.
Not that we care about their opinions.
Is someone,
That is right.
not.
is someone going to read these?
Mariah, do you have? Could you read some of this stuff for me?
Yeah, it's good. Hillbilly
which
bucket.
one?
Give me.
There's so many.
I know. I said I bumped those 2 reviews from Apple. I know it didn't show the whole review, but if you could just read down to
another reason why we don't like Apple. You cannot see the whole review.
Well, that's not Apple. That's from
it says Apple.
I know you were trying
That's
to.
just
Apple Podcast. It says on there.
Well, that's who the data's coming from. But anyways, if you could just read down to where it starts to do the little ... thing, but give us what's going on there.
the title is Does This Podcast Glorify God?
They went light. I see they decided to go nice and lighthearted.
First off, it is really disheartening to think someone would create a podcast like this. I don't know you personally. Are you always negative?
Yes.
Is this how you feel?
I think it
I
is.
haven't seen anything positive on here. How about an episode on outreach? Maybe on loving your neighbor as yourself and what that means both inside and ...
So they're wanting us to do an episode on loving our neighbor?
We can do that.
Okay. Done.
Isn't that what you guys are doing by offering light to people that have left?
That's a very good point, Nichole, because I do feel a lot like that. And
Yes.
I think, actually, Mariah, can you read the first one now?
Yeah.
Because I think it goes into some of the same territory.
Okay. I started an episode with an open heart. 10 minutes in, and I'm leaving your podcast with a heavy heart. This is not what Jesus would do. Shame on you. You are mocking some of the very best people out there. I'm sorry. Very best people out there.
Sorry.
Jesus
Whoa.
died for. People Jesus died for. People who gave their 110% dead level best. Yes, they're dead best. For the kingdom of God in spite of the people like you who do nothing but tear down. As a newly graduated pastor, even I can see this podcast is being used for evil and not good.
Oh,
I'm so
wow.
sorry. I
He's
hope
on to
you'll
us,
one
guys.
day realize.
He's on to us. Tell the devil to please step out of the room. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Man.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I hope you all will one day realize God has a much better plan for your lives than this. And I hope that one day, before that final day, that the Lord asks, what did you do with my son, Jesus? And what did you do on earth with the time and the talents I gave you? Because right now, all you can say is that you've used your time to mock the very people who are using their time to honor and glorify God. I know these are strong words, but these are coming from a heart of love, hoping you'll allow God to have his way.
Right.
A
Bullcrap.
heart of love?
Right.
Are you joking me?
A heart of love.
Okay.
Amen.
Let me just say one thing first, really quick. If they only cared this much about the children being abused.
Exactly right. And
Okay.
I do have that in the notes too.
I like how he's like, I started out an episode with an open heart, and 10 minutes I'm leaving with a heavy one. He probably ought to stop eating so much fried chicken.
Yeah. Have to have open heart.
Then it wouldn't be so heavy.
Well, and then another thing too. Secondly, he's a recently graduated pastor, whatever. So he's in the CHM movement, right? They are the ones who are paying his bill. Therefore, he has to support them. His vote, his opinion is bought. Our opinion, we do this stuff with our own money. Like, this is our own. We do not get paid for this really, other than...
Well, there's some ad revenue comes in and stuff like that. And high
yeah,
we will,
but it is not CHM.
I will sell my body. I'm sorry.
No.
Yes, please.
It is... Kanan's signing up, man. He said, get it.
Can I say something about...
Yeah,
okay, dude, your comments are stupid. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. And you look like a fool. You said... And you're talking about, your strong words, so I guess you could take it. You said you listened to 10 minutes.
Right.
10 minutes. You admittedly listened to 10 minutes. And somehow you got us figured out. And from that 10 minutes... Sorry, I need to not yell. I talked to John Baker about sounding arrogant.
You sound
today.
arrogant.
I know, so I'm not... Anyways. Let me
Hold
get
on.
back to this guy.
Wait. You can go back to that time. For Phil to sound arrogant, that's bad.
Well, I'm not trying to sound
Phil does
arrogant.
not sound arrogant, like, at all. So for someone to think that, it like Phil, when Phil gets upset like this, that's, yes, exactly. Go.
Well, he's listened to 10 minutes. He admits that. And somehow out of that 10 minutes, he's done decided that we're sinning and that somehow he knows that God has a different plan for all out of listening for 10 minutes. And somehow he knows from 10 minutes that I'm going to be in a very bad situation on Judgment Day. This guy.
Yes.
This guy's basically like an X-Man or something like that. The powers he has.
Oh my.
Anyways.
And he even knows the state of your heart.
You're right.
He knows the state of your heart and what Jesus is going to say. What did you do with my son, Jesus Christ?
In all seriousness, though, like at first he kind of had me a little bit, like he talked about and my heart is heavy, is this something that Jesus would, do? And, it kind of pulls on the heartstrings a little bit. You're like, oh man, like, Lord, am I doing the right thing? Or, and then he goes, you are mocking the very best of people. And I'm like, oh no, you lost me, dude.
Yeah,
you
lost me there.
Your opinion
lost
went
me.
from like here
I'm sorry.
to like here.
I'm sorry. I'm not saying that every one of them is bad. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say like, I really don't know a ton of good ones anymore. I'm hearing so many stories of like,
it's getting sad.
Like, oh, well,
it's getting really sad.
Yeah.
What he's saying is it's the normal CHM crap.
Right.
You disagree with them. All of a sudden, we're mocking.
Right.
These are good, godly people. How dare you? It's like, okay, we disagree with them. We do it in our own style.
Right.
Okay. But anyways, before we get into that, there are some people I do want to thank that help us out on the podcast with this stuff.
Yes.
Because I do take the criticism seriously, except for that last dude's comment. And we do.
And the comment before that.
No, I think it through.
Yeah.
I don't like when somebody sends in something. I enjoy getting
flack.
And enjoy is maybe a stretch, but I think it's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
It's valuable to get pushback to me because I'm terrified of an echo chamber, and that's not good for anybody. So if you send in something, I take it seriously. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I've wound up engaging with people and talking to them that I disagree with. And actually I've, made some acquaintances that way and we completely disagree with each other, but, I enjoy it and it's good for me. But there are some people that I do ask advice from. Right. And we've almost kind of got this little club of people that are Hillbilly broadcast advisors. Let me put it that way. And first of all, I want to mention, I'll say a few of them here. John Baker's freaking phenomenal. I talked to him. Yeah. I talked to him for like an hour today.
Did you?
It's like at least once a week. And John's like, and John will shoot straight. He'll be like, hey, you shouldn't do that or whatever it is,
And that's fine. And we're not going to take everything, do everything he says to do, but we do appreciate his input on it.
John will tell you what he thinks.
Yeah, he is a mature 100%. Person, right?
Yes.
He's an older person. We're supposed to listen to what listen to what our elders have to say. But we do appreciate, when someone else who's older and had a little more experience than what we do says, hey, you probably could have approached that a little bit better. I see where you were coming from, which is something that the CHM movement could do, right?
Well, but that would make sense, and so therefore,
yes, that does not exactly.
But John did hit me with a saying today. I told him, I said, John, I'm going to use this. He said, tradition is peer pressure from dead people. I'm like, yes, John.
Is that a t-shirt idea?
That should be. I don't know where he got. I don't know if that's original. If he made where that came from, but yeah, tradition is peer pressure from dead people. And
man.
Very true. I like that.
Yeah. But we also there's Texas Ben Wyford. I can't forget about him. That got me and him. We like to get on the phone and get mad with each other. Me and him both tend to get loud voices.
Yes,
the voice messages me and him have sent back and forth. Me and him both faces red, screaming at
each other. And you guys, it's funny because it reminds me of when Kanan and Mariah are down here and we're up super late and we're having these conversations and we're screaming at each other, but still supporting the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's I agree with you. Yes. But I still want to yell at you.
Yeah, we're in total agreement, but there's a lot of anger, righteous anger.
Be like, yes, scream louder.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Because your brother has said that before. He's like, I listen to you guys, and you guys are mad, but you're mad at the same things, screaming about the same things together.
Oh man, that is great.
We can't forget LaDonna Covert as well.
Yes.
LaDonna's been phenomenal. We were actually working on a kind of a different episode that she's going to be on in the future.
Yes.
And we definitely can't forget Tracy Bowen. Tracy's been a guest a couple times, but she's done a lot, gave us a lot of advice behind the scenes and stuff as well. So, and there's others too that you probably don't want me to say your name, but you know who you are, and for reasons, that will remain anonymous, but thank you all as well. So I just wanted to put that out there first, that, these people that do give us advice on this stuff, I'm very appreciative of it.
Before we move along though, on these reviews that we've got, I just want to say this, and we tried talking a little bit about this before, and I think we were a lot nicer maybe. And maybe we're past that. If you're CHM and you go to a CHM church, don't listen to Hillbilly Broadcast. It's not for you. You're not going to like it. You're just going to get upset, and that's not of God.
Well, okay.
I mean, it's like, so it's like, just don't listen to us. Turn us off. Treat us like you would the internet. Put the blockers up.
Treat us like the TV and throw us out of your house.
Yes, which is a good point. People are going and hunting us down to listen to us, knowing the stuff that we say. Okay? So the fact that you had to work so hard to find us in a podcast group, I mean, that says something right there. Like, turn us off, man. Just turn us off.
Well, can I say something?
Yeah, turn us off. We don't want you to listen to it.
There is a group of CHM people that listen that I think actually, like, they're not spying. They're not looking for some crap. Some of them listen out of pure curiosity. One of them is my buddy that I will keep nameless.
Right.
He's listened almost from the very beginning, and me and him talk about stuff on a weekly basis. He's still CHM and will still tell you that.
Right.
But he's very reasonable. So is the other guy that I've just met. I probably shouldn't say his name either.
Yeah.
But very reasonable guy, still CHM. That's two people.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the rest.
And the thing of it is, okay.
Well, we can't forget Andrew Graham.
Dr. Graham. You can't forget about him either. But, okay, and this brings up a whole nother thing, too. We do have negative reviews on our stuff, which is fine. And I kind of appreciate those views because the truth is coming out with what we're saying, and they cannot deny that. In fact, the fact that whenever they want to say stuff like this, it just goes to show that they do not like truth coming out. They're having a problem with it. And that's what gets me going too, because if I were a part of a group, I'd be like, yeah, that's really crazy how they're saying all this stuff. Can we ask the questions? No, they don't want to do that. In fact, they want to say that we're the ones attacking, and we're not.
Don't they always say that the devil fights the hardest when you're doing the right thing?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey,
yeah, let me just go run in the aisles. I'm going to run the aisles.
Nicole's turn.
Nicole's turn.
Oh, finally speak. No, I'm kidding. Okay, first of all, y'all are bonkers, and I love it. The second thing is that you are going to have more than two people, because I still have a community. I don't know if I will after this, but I still have a community within the CHM. So just be prepared.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just because they have on it, the people are going to freak out.
Yeah.
That brings up something I want to say, and I'm going to say her name on here. Okay. And you can take it out if you want to. But you remember, I talked to you about where she was talking about how she chooses to overlook certain things in the CHM movement, but then she can't worship with other believers.
Was that exactly how she put it?
Yes, and I'm finding it. I even have the screenshot of it, and it was very concerning because she's choosing what she can overlook, wants to overlook, and what she doesn't. And to me, that right there says a lot, because she's willing to tolerate the CHM people, but she can't other people. She can't worship with them. It's just impossible, was her words.
Most of them overlook child abuse. I've noticed that.
Yes, they do.
Let's overlook that.
So true.
Yeah. Isn't that what they do with the Bible, though? Sometimes, I mean, they take things out of context. They choose to overlook things, like overlook fact that Jesus told Paul or Peter on the rooftop that he could forget the Mosaic ways because that's what he came to free them from. They can overlook that, but they will look at every single rule in the Old Testament and say, hey, you have to follow this.
Oh, yeah.
So,
except when it comes to eating pork. Though we
right,
bad.
right,
Yes.
right. So,
Oh, man.
yeah, anyway.
So I talked to somebody today, while you're pulling that up, Miss. I talked to somebody today and kind of got their thoughts on it. And they said, well, you guys probably, actually, there's been a couple people. He said, you guys should probably do another episode and just kind of put out why it is that you talk about this kind of stuff, what your end game is, just things like that. But just talk about, why it is, even... Well, I figured we could mention like who our audience is and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And one of the things I do want to put out there up top, we're not academics, okay? We're not therapists.
Speak for yourself.
The way, yeah. We're not. You're never going to hear us on Focus on the Family. You're never going to hear. We're not going to say stuff the way that Billy Graham does, or he did. I hope he ain't saying nothing now. Good Lord, but. Yes. If somebody's hearing from Billy Graham now. But the way that we conduct ourselves on this podcast is how we conduct ourselves off of the podcast. Like us ragging on each other and carrying on and laughing again. That's what we do. So that's really the only way we know how to go about doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't mean we have any kind of malice towards you or anything like that. We will probably crack a few jokes at your expense if you've got up on the pulpit and said something stupid. Doesn't mean we hate you. We expect you. I would expect you to do the same in return. Kanan, the things that me and you have said to each other in the past are freaking savage.
Oh, man.
You attack each other.
My favorite one. My brother told me that time. There was that announcer for the PBR. I told him, I said, I like the way Scott Grover dresses. I like his style. Jonathan said, you look like you ate Scott Grover.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
You found what you're looking for?
No, it's gone. And I'm pretty ticked off.
But we should probably move on to what we're here for now, right?
Yeah, well, let's...
go ahead.
Let me put a few more things out here real quick. So... I would say that our mission, if somebody would ask us what it is, I don't like the idea of a mission statement because I'm not really, or at least calling it that. I don't necessarily feel like I'm, running a church or something like that.
Yeah.
And we don't always talk about the CHM. There will be times that we're going to talk about something else, whatever tickles our fancy. But when we are talking about the CHM, Kanan touched on this as well. Our target is not the CHM. That's not who we're trying to reach. You might as well take your head and just smash it against a wall, and you will accomplish more than trying to change the CHM's mind.
Right.
Yes.
I think that we have a few different types of listeners. We got the curious CHM people, the ones that are, they're reasonable. They listen to see what we got to say. And those guys are fine. We got the ex-CHM people. Some of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Nicole's here representing.
In the house.
And some of those people, they can lean either way. Some of them can still be sympathetic to the CHM. I've got some family members like that. And some of them are just, they're out. Some of them are believers. Some of them are not believers whatsoever. And we also have this group that tunes in from time to time. They're current CHM, but they're exploring their options. And therefore they found us on Spotify or wherever. And then we have the current CHM listeners that are there just to see what's just for sermon material or whatever. Example, the Bible Missionary Church people that, by the way, shout out to y'all, that apparently have found internet.
Were they the ones that shouted you guys out a while ago?
No, they didn't. They don't believe in internet, so I don't know how they're listening, but...
They stick their phones out the window.
Oh.
So they can get internet, and the internet's not in the house.
They
Legit.
believe... Yeah, they believe in certain instances, right? Just not in the home. So our target is not the ones that's happy being CHM, and our target's really not the friendly CHM people.
If I know how you said we don't have a mission statement, and while I agree with that, I still think to a point we do have one, and that is to make you think. We want you to be able to, ask the questions. Like, don't be following along blindly. Sarah Fry was talking at the conference, and I have a whole podcast I wanted to talk about this
Sure.
but she said, be careful who you're listening to. Like if they're teaching you certain things from the pulpit, that's something that you definitely have to, don't take everything like it's swallowed like gumdrops, because it could be arsenic laced in that stuff. So you have to be careful.
I sat down and was trying to put together some of my thoughts for this. And when I think about what our mission is when we're talking about the CHM, I think really kind of 4 things. Number 1, we want to let you know that you are not alone if you're having these thoughts about the CHM. And there are some people out there that did think that. They used to think that.
Yes.
So you're not alone.
And they still think it to this day. They still think that some of them are alone in this journey that they're going through.
We want to bring awareness to some of these heinous acts and alleged cover-ups.
Yes.
Okay. That happened and in the CHM.
Right.
And somebody would ask, well, why do you want to talk about that? Well, to let people know it goes on. You don't just go in there and blindly trust.
Right.
Just because somebody says they're CHM, you don't just, here's access to my whole family, my kids.
Here's my family.
Don't just trust them blindly. Right. Number 3, I feel that we want to show Christ and give you hope.
Right.
If you're one of those that is ex-CHM and just has said, deuces, this ain't for me, we want to let you know that was, if you had the bad experience there, like many of you have, that wasn't Christ that did that to you.
Right.
That was a bastardization of Christianity.
Right.
That was a screwed up version of Christianity.
Right. Exactly.
That was religion, and they were wrong.
Right.
And there's something better out there. And like you said, Miss, I think number 4, want to make people question. Yeah. Because questioning things, including your faith, I think is a good thing, because then you got to find the answers. And then you know why you believe something.
Like the Bible says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
And be ready to give reason.
And be ready to give an answer
for
that. Yes, exactly. So between all these little things that are all going on around us, we want to be able to be a little bit of the voice that's crying out in the wilderness. Yes, it's a wilderness, but we're like also saying, hey, there is a way, and that way is not the CHM way. Honestly, I'll be honest. That's what I'm beginning to really feel. It's taking a turn, because instead of worshiping a God who's standing over us with a stick, trying to beat us, and like Amber Jones said, she was afraid that she was going to be demon possessed. Like, and if that is
she mentioned on the podcast,
idea and image of God, like we need to recreate that Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's not correct. Jesus loves us more than we can ever imagine. So if we can, this podcast can help someone to know the love of God and to be able to let someone ask the questions, because in some places they can't ask questions.
They can't ask questions. Yes.
And you are not alone. I agree with like that, what you just said, Phil. You are not alone, because there's a lot of people that are asking these questions, and they're messaging us and saying, hey, we believe the same way, but we don't know what to say. I work for so-and-so and I can't say anything, or I will lose my job, because I've promised that I would support them.
Sure.
So this is an outlet for people that are afraid to come forward. And let me just say this, Jesus turned over tables too. So if we have to turn over a few tables in order for it to clean out all the nastiness and all the dirtiness that is in the church and in the body of Christ, more power to us.
I think that some of this is a deflection, and I do want to say this as well. I do understand that, there are times we get loud, and I'm sure we come across in a way that we don't mean for ourselves to come across. I'm sure there's jokes that rub you the wrong way and all that kind of stuff. And there's, we're a bit rough around the edges. We try our best, but we fail. That's no excuse for our failure. We're going to keep trying, and we're learning this thing as we go. But
exactly.
And if there's a lot of people are like, well, what about your attitude or your heart behind the podcast? Okay, those are important questions. But if your focus is on what's the heart of your podcast, or, I didn't like the way you said that, you're making fun of these people, whatever. If your focus is on that instead of, and you refuse to even worry about the unbiblical stuff that's taught in the CHM all the time, the spiritual abuse that goes on, Dan Stetler. And the sexual abuse and the stuff that gets swept under the rug, if you have no desire to even worry about that, then I'm sorry, your opinion don't carry a whole lot of weight with me.
Yeah, no, your opinion does not matter at this point.
I have to keep my attitude in check. Yeah.
Right.
But in my opinion, the priorities here is off.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep working on that I come across in a Christ-like manner. How about you at least show some type of anger at what's going on in the CHM?
Right.
But anyways.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
I said what I had to say.
I said what I said, and I'm not taking it back.
Oh, man.
All right, where was we at? We said
Well, we have the guest on.
We do.
And she
Nichole.
has some things she wants to say.
So,
11 pages worth.
yes, indeed. Nichole has done her research.
I love it.
I don't
Let's
know
go.
who reached out to who first, but we started talking a little bit, and you attended a CHM Bible college, right?
I did. I very much well did.
And I'm guess are we keeping the name of the college out?
I think it'd probably be best.
Okay.
Well, and let me just
Yeah.
say, she thinks it's such a winner that she's on the Hillbilly broadcast now talking about it.
That's right.
Yeah, good point. I guess technically a correspondent representative.
Yes.
Oh.
So, give me a little bit about this. Give me your
Yeah.
backstory. So you, I'm guessing since you're on this show, you're not CHM anymore. I mean, we can pretty well rule that out.
I am not. I'm coming up on 5 years next summer.
5 years clean and sober. How about that?
Not drinking the Kool-Aid. No more Kool-Aid.
Oh, that's funny. So you've been up for 5 years, and like what? Were you raised in it? Like, was this an all your life type of thing, or what?
So, let's see. Am I yelling? I feel like I'm yelling.
Mm-mm.
No, you're fine.
Good. So my mother was raised in the CHM, and she left and got pregnant with me. And so basically, I don't really know how to explain it, but basically my grandparents raised me in my Christianity. So like they took me to family gatherings and youth gatherings and children gatherings, and they were the ones that took us to church every Sunday. They basically were like my spiritual parents, as my mom was not conservative holiness. And so when I was 10 years old, I was at one of the children gatherings. Wow, I can't talk.
It's okay.
You're good. Neither can we.
I was at one of the children's gatherings, and I felt the Lord just like put his thumb on my back, and I felt like I should go up and pray. And ever since then, I just took on the CHM ways, started wearing skirts all the time. Long sleeves didn't come until I was probably about 15, 16. And I was like, all right, that's all I'm wearing. And then I went to a private school that my church sponsored, I guess.
So this was a CHM private school?
This was a CHM private school. Yes, it was. ACE, PACES.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Hate those. If I have to hear about Pudge one more time, I'm done.
Oh, Pudge! I forgot about Pudge.
Oh, Pudgy.
Oh, Pudgy.
He looked like he walked out of the CHM.
You remember there was somebody that died in one of the PACES. Who was it? Was it one of the twins?
Oh, no.
Oh, I don't know if I remember this or not.
It's been like 15 years.
It's been a while.
Wow.
AC overdosed on fentanyl, and because he was wearing short sleeves and it started him down that road.
He died of drunken driving.
Short sleeves just overdosing of fentanyl. Did you not know?
Yes, it's a direct link.
Yes.
Fine. It's that float, man. So then we left that school, and I did 3 years of homeschool. That was wonderful. That did great things for my social anxiety. And then I started attending the academy of the Bible college that I went to.
Uh-huh.
There for my senior year, and I lived on campus for that senior year. And then I then stayed another year to go to my freshman year of college, and decided that I was only going to take one more class, finish out my certificate because I was done.
Mm-hmm.
and I moved home.
I see.
So I spent a total of 2 years, 2.5 years at this Bible college. Yeah.
So what was your experience like? I mean, did you have the horrendous type experience that some people talk about, or was it fairly run of the mill?
Oh man. I think for me, it was one of the darkest times in my life. And I'm not saying that funnily, but I mean that. I had a lot of anxiety and depression that I went through in those 2.5 years. I very much was categorized as a misfit. I didn't fit anywhere. I didn't belong anywhere. I didn't have a good last name. I didn't fit. I didn't have a singing voice, they said. So I wasn't in PR. I was in choir, but that's pretty much it. I was labeled as a misfit. So
I see. Couldn't quite find anybody of like mine.
Right. So I just kind of fit in with everybody else that didn't belong. And, I found community in that not belongingness. And I think all growing up in the CHM, all I wanted to do was just fit. All I wanted to do was just be seen. So, when things got really bad, I started getting really conservative. So like sleeves, I wore a tank top under every single shirt that I wore. I wore a tank top and leggings under every single skirt and every single shirt that I wore.
That had to get hot.
Yeah, it was hot. Satan's breath, I'm telling you, it was bad.
Satan's breath.
Yeah. So I think a lot of my time I almost said it. A lot of my time at the Bible college was just me trying to fit in, me trying to survive, and me just trying not to, wig out, leave.
Sure.
Yeah, I get it.
What do you think contributed to this? Was it, you mentioned earlier you didn't have the right last name, quote, right last name, which, I didn't either.
Yeah, that is a common thing that happens in the CHM movement.
Yeah. But I didn't try to go fit in at a Bible college neither.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to go through that. But what do you think contributed to that? I mean, was it just real cliquey like out there, or, you mentioned that your mom had left the CHM at this point. Did that have something to do with it?
I think it did have something to do with it a little bit. The fact that my grandparents were raising me spiritually, and the fact that I didn't come from a Christian home, quote unquote. And you can't see air quotes on podcasts, can you?
So you were almost like the girl to watch out for. Like you can maybe be nice to her, but she doesn't come from a Christian home, so don't get too wrapped up.
I was also very, very boy crazy, like incredibly boy crazy. So my biological father was not in my life and then completely exited my life when I was 6. And so I've had multiple father figures that have left me over the years. So I think that played a lot into being boy crazy. So that's what I was known for. I was known for liking guys. That's all it was.
I see.
I had my first crush when I was 6. So that's a funny story.
Okay. To be fair though, I was 8 when I had my first crush. So, I mean, it happens.
I think I was young too, but
I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean, you come from.
I obsessively crushed over him. It was bad. I became obsessed. It was horrible.
Are we going to see a Dateline episode about you at some point? Is
this guy still alive?
Yes, he's still alive.
Oh man,
he is still alive. He's happily married with 2 children.
Oh, okay, good. Now she's a stalker. Now she's a stalker because she knows all about him. How many kids he has, and all.
So I really struggled with that. And also I was never a skinny girl. I was always bigger than everybody else. And I kind of have noticed that a lot of the girls that are in that quote unquote misfit group that I was with at school, quote unquote, were bigger girls. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of just where I fit in, because I couldn't wear all the pretty belts and the scarves and look like a pencil. I just wasn't who I was.
Yep.
And so
you'd be considered pretty if you lost like 20 pounds.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was wearing a size 4 and I was like, oh, she'd be nice if she lost a little more weight. I was like 127 pounds wearing a size 4.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I've been called not marriage material, not to my face, but by boys at the Bible college.
Oh man.
I've been teased that I came there to get my MRS degree. So there was a lot of like not nice words and not nice attitudes that were towards me. And I know why. It's because I didn't fit in. I wasn't popular.
Sure.
In.
So it's
Some
not
definite
all
bullying.
everybody sitting around playing harps and, harmonizing to I Shall Not Be Moved and just reading their Bible all the time. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Bible college, it was pretty much filled with, there was nobody around. Nobody, rarely ever. The only people that were really around were the people that did the work study program, that worked, and then that paid half of their bill.
Mm-hmm.
And so that stayed around. So that became my community. And that was basically at the time, most of those people were the misfit group, which I hate saying that because I hate calling them misfits, but I mean, it was the truth of the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Like those people then formed their own community as the misfit group. And we were just all tons of people that just didn't belong and that were on the work study program. So we worked together all the freaking time. And, on weekends, it was horrible when I stayed up there. Absolutely nobody around. Everybody was either working or went home or working. Like nobody was around.
Was this also during the day? It would be just empty? I see. Day and the weekends.
Like on days that like there were classes, there would be people, but like we would be busy at the same time. So like, so they had, this is going to give away the college, not really, but they had classes Tuesday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So Tuesday through Friday, there were classes pretty much all day, including night classes.
Wow.
So like during the day, you had like 2 classes in the morning, then you had choir, then you had chapel, then you had lunch, then you could have 1 to 2 classes in the afternoon.
I see.
So So on days that it was like, when there were classes, there were people there, but on days that there weren't, they were either working or doing schoolwork because they had a ton of collateral reading to do.
Yes, the old collateral reading.
Yeah, they give you like 10 books. All right, so you need to read all of these books that were written in 1805 and understand what they were saying.
They have to be school approved.
Oh,
School approved, absolutely. We can't forget about that. So you're there, and you're not having a high old time. From what it sounds like, you mentioned as well that, of course, this was a CHM college, so we have the handbook, the ever wonderful handbook. What was that like living under that sucker? We've talked about that a couple times from a couple different colleges,
right?
And what was that like?
Oh, we're getting into the nitty gritty here.
Yes. Like, what did you think about when you first went into it? Like, where you're like, okay, that won't be too bad. I can abide by that.
Oh yeah. Like the rules in this handbook were the rules I started following. See, when I'm going to preach a little bit. So this whole concept of free will, right? The whole concept is that Jesus came, he died to give us a choice, right? Mm-hmm. He's always given us a choice if we want to serve him or not, right?
Right.
So free will means that you get to make your own decisions. You get to make your own decisions because he allows us to, because when we love him, it's like, he chose to love me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful relationship. So when you start putting, I don't know how many pages the handbook is, like 200? I don't know. What is it? Felt like 200. 50 pages in the handbook of things that you can and cannot do. It is so much easier to follow a list of rules than to pray about it, of convictions, than to study why we have rules. And it's so much easier. And if you follow the rules, you get to fit in.
Right.
And that's just awesome. Yep. It's incredible.
And as a person who does not fit in already, like you were just saying, that becomes like, oh, maybe if I do this, I'll be even more accepted. And I might like eventually fit in with this group because I'll belong.
Yep. Finally, somebody noticed me, a guy noticed me that's going to love me and make me his wife. And I can just stay at home mom. That was my goal. That was my intention. And I would love to do that. That's still in my heart. But like, my mom was like, Nichole, what are you going to do with your life? And I was like, be a stay-at-home mom. She's like, no. What are you going to do if that doesn't happen? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Your mom makes a good point.
Yeah, she does.
It becomes interesting too, because like you said, we got that free will. And then when you're given that handbook, it's like, okay, you suddenly become a puppet and you agree that you will become a puppet.
Yeah.
You no longer have the right.
Yeah, very true.
Well, we read that whole agreement thing from Penn View about how they make you say, I will not promote any other, yada.
Yeah, anything that goes against it, I will not.
Across the campus.
Right. Like, that's so crazy.
In my 11 pages out here.
Give us some of the stuff on your pages.
I want to hear them pages.
Okay, so I have here direct from the student handbook. It says, due to continuing emphasis on application of classwork to practical ministries, Christian service assignments are required for all students. These assignments are a vital part of your educational program and correlate with your classroom learning. These opportunities are numerous and include mission work, preaching, ministry to the elderly with local churches, and other ministry activities. Christian service credits are required for graduation.
So what is Christian service? It's required for your graduation, and what do you have to do with it?
My uncle had a church downtown Indianapolis, and they had once a Wednesday, they would sing outside of the church to invite people in because of the community that it was in. It was not a very safe neighborhood. So they would invite people in and give them coffee, especially when it was cold, or water when it was super hot. And so that would count as Christian service.
I see.
That's all I did, to be honest. I didn't do any of the other stuff. But like if you preached and then you had to write a paper about it. My personal view is that if you're making somebody do something for graduation, if you're forcing them to do it to graduate, and if you don't do it, you have to retake it. And then if I'm remembering correctly, you're out if you failed the second time.
So you had to go work for Jesus and then write a paper bragging about it for you to graduate?
So it's like if you're forcing somebody to do, not forcing, but it felt like it, forcing somebody to do this, like, wouldn't you be worried about it creating something in their hearts about working for Jesus if they're forced to do it?
Yeah, that's not exactly how the working for Jesus thing goes, in my opinion. But, I could be wrong.
Anyway, the church rules.
Yeah, some of these outfits are famous for that stuff. Give me your church rules you had to abide by.
All right. All students are expected to regularly attend Sunday school and both Sunday morning and Sunday evening worship services, as well as Wednesday night prayer meetings. That doesn't include chapel on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That doesn't include if you wanted to go to prayer meeting on Monday nights that they had. Mm-hmm. That's like 6 in a week. Wow. And do you know how many I listened to? Okay, anyway.
Wait a minute. Tell me that number again was 0? How'd you get by with that?
Yeah. It was 0.
0?
How did you do that?
Man.
Oh, I have a really good poker face. No, I'm kidding.
Really good poker face. So this was mandatory. You're saying mandatory 6 times a week?
Well, 5 times a week.
I mean, we might as well go Muslim.
But if you didn't go to prayer meeting, it was like, why aren't you going to prayer meeting? Why aren't you going to prayer meeting?
Yeah, don't you want to be close to God? What's wrong with you? So what happened with prayer meeting, fun fact, sorry, I talk a lot. Okay.
So what happened with prayer meeting is it started out guys and girls. So we would meet in the guys' prayer chapel at night at like 9 o'clock. And it would be guys. And we would, as this team, be praying for each other, supporting each other, sharing prayer requests, sharing, all this kind of stuff. We sang sometimes, and it was just like community. And I was like, yes. And then somebody in the faculty found out that this was happening and split us up.
Oh.
And being in a room where I felt comfortable to being in a room where there were all girls, and they were not like, nothing against them personally, but the CHM women are very judgmental.
No. Understatement.
No.
I felt judgment, and I was like, we're not doing this anymore. Sorry. Peace. The guys were there as buffers.
I love how the CHM just immediately jumps to their mind jumps to sex right off the bat. They're like,
it's dirty. Yeah, it's dirty conclusion.
They're like, there's not a chance in heck they're over there actually playing or praying.
They're playing.
And
They're playing.
And you know why?
Why?
It's because they wouldn't be doing that.
Right. Yeah. No,
because they would be over there trying to screw.
They would be playing.
They would.
Oh, dude, that
They'd
is
be,
so funny.
Oh my goodness.
They'd be all up underneath that piano bench and whatnot.
The CHM, they just automatically assume that y'all everybody just having sex. Ain't no praying going on.
Yep, no praying going on over there, just sex.
Just sex.
Heaven forbid people actually love Jesus and are trying to talk to him.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Lord.
That's a mess.
Give us your next one, Nichole.
Well, we had to sit in the first 5 rows of the sanctuary. We had 3 weeks to pick our church for the semester.
How many churches were there for you to go to, like try out?
I think I remember on the paper there was probably about 8.
How do you know which church you want to go to then?
Well, it's very easy. If it's a holiness church, then that's the one
It's the
that
one.
God meant for you.
Oh my goodness.
Couldn't go to any other one that wasn't on the list unless it was approved.
So it had to be those certain churches.
What church did you go to? We can edit it out if you want.
So the first year I went to Brother.
Yeah, it's close by. We've been there several times.
And then the second year I went to church because I could walk and find a ride every single time I needed to go.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, yeah. Funny story right quick about Brother. We went there. This was probably 2016, maybe 15, late 15, early 16. Yep. We were there.
I went
with Sue, with Daryl and Sue Pittman. We were there, and of course, me and my buddy Ryan and Tyler was also there. And we were usually pretty good, but for whatever reason, in that service, we were kind of like talking a lot and laughing, and I think we even started like slugging one another like in the leg, and like we were being very disruptive.
Playing grab.
and and I remember Brother calling us out without like calling us out like. Like we're being very disruptive. He's like, "Isn't that right, Brother Kane?" And I'm like, "What?" and so then kind of like so you're kind of like, okay, yeah, I gotta stay straight now. Like you can't be slugging Tyler in the arm anymore. Man, so yeah,
that's funny.
You guys are just like hitting each other.
Yeah.
So I have something of more of a serious thing to talk about here.
All right.
We're going to talk about their bullying policy or lack of bullying policy.
Okay.
So like I said before, I was in the Misfit group, and there were some very not nice things that were said about the Misfit group. Like I said, the not marriage material, which was not just me.
And let me jump in there for just a minute too. For people listening, this is going to be a big deal because this whole thing that's already your culture, anyways.
Yeah.
CHM, and when you're out there at this supposedly sanctioned school,
it's safe, it's Christian,
it's safe, and then all of a sudden you've got people telling you. And one of the things that they do say is that you can find you a good spouse and then you've got people just treating you like they're treating Nichole. That's a big deal. Yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't just the students.
I see.
I will leave it there. I went through this thing probably 30 times. And this is the closest thing that I come to about a bullying policy. And I'm going to read it. It's their notice of non-discrimination. Does not discriminate on bias of gender, color, ethnic origin, or against otherwise qualified handicapped people in its admission or students or employment of faculty and staff. Where do they not discriminate on bias of religion?
Well, I'm guessing they're going to say that, with them being a Christian school, that they would want to discriminate on that.
And then they say online students must be in full agreement and harmony with these doctoral statements.
That is crazy.
Yes.
So what if they're not? So that's what I'm saying is, what if they don't believe in it? They want to go there to get a theology or just do Bible classes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does that mean? Oh, okay. And then in the later parts, it talks about if you're married and you live off campus, all students, including students and off-campus students, are expected to follow the guidelines in the handbook when they are on campus or any event.
So they only have to follow while they're on campus?
When they are on campus in any event, then it says they're follow general guidelines, personal appearance guidelines, and social guidelines when attending events such as IHC, Youth Challenge, Central Pennsylvania, Outreach, Bus Convention, and similar activities. Dorm students must abide by our guidelines unless they're at their parents' house. Students living on campus housing other than dormitories must abide by general guidelines unless they're at their parents' homes. But students who live with their parents and staff or faculty housing must abide by guidelines. I just
Wow.
don't understand, like, the whole thing about control. It's so much control. And they say that there is freedom in that. I just don't.
No, gosh, no.
Yeah, there's definitely not.
That. I don't see the freedom of Jesus in that. I don't see freedom from bondage in that.
There is no room for disagreement at that Bible college and at most of the others. In fact, I've not found one yet that is okay with you disagreeing.
Yeah, no. And if you do disagree, then you're supposed to keep quiet about it. You're not allowed to talk about it.
If you're a Penn View student, yeah.
Right.
Like this here said, if you're an online student, we want you to follow the rules. If you're here, you got to follow the rules. If you don't live here, you got to follow the rules. If you live at your parents' house, you got to follow our rules. It's all about control.
Well, what was that one, too, that had like a little paper that you had to sign and say that you were going to agree to what they had to say? Is that
Penn
it?
View had one of those. I don't know if this one did or not.
Pretty sure we had to sign a paper. Did I read through the whole thing? No.
Yeah.
Because I pretty much agreed with how they stood because I was just the follower.
Right.
Right.
Well, and most people aren't going to read through it. That's crazy. So if you could tell me a little bit, so you had this dark period of your life.
Yeah.
How was you able to climb up out of that? Because I do like to leave people with a with the knowledge that there's hope,
Right.
and that it doesn't end where you were at.
Oh yeah. So, oh man, that's a long story. Okay, skim it down, Nichole. I think one of the things that the Lord started showing me was that it was an unsafe environment for me. And He did that. So when I decided to leave UBC, I was trying to think of my options. And at that point, it was almost as like I didn't have any options of any guys left to be a husband. So I was going to be single life. That's how I felt. I was involved in a very bad situation where a guy used me to make another girl jealous. Like it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through those dark times, and looking back on it, and I have permission to share this, but I started to do some not healthy behavior. I started self-harming while I was at UBC. And I remember the dorm mom at the time. Like I said, I have permission to share this. I remember her coming down. I was working in the kitchen, and everybody just disappeared. And she came in and she said, "Nichole, we do not do that." And that is the only thing I remember from that conversation. I remember feeling very like out in the open. all that kind of stuff. So
it wasn't really like it wasn't really like trying to help you through anything. It was just kind of a, we don't do that. And that's the only reason why. That's really as far as we're going to go with it.
pretty much. I mean, that's what I remember.
Was that kind of the general feeling of the college as a whole?
As like, we don't self-harm, or that just like
them not really providing you with any kind of help with stuff like that. It was just
helping to deal with it. Like obviously you're doing it for a reason. How were you able to handle those emotions and get help instead of doing that?
And so they didn't do none of that is what I'm saying.
The person that came down there was the one that was supposed to be my not my counselor, but is listed in here as somebody for opportunity for counseling. It was at the time. So she was the person that I would have gone to anyway. So I didn't feel like I had any other options. And in that situation, I just felt completely invisible, and I didn't know how else to say it any more than I already had. I'd been screaming it, and I felt like I wasn't being heard or listened to. So, that was the only way that I could say something. And the response that I got from people was, "Oh, you got to promise me you'll never do that again." Or they showed me the scripture verse that says, "Thou shalt not hurt themselves," or whatever. There's one in there, because she showed it to me. But like, I was met with some compassion, but it was very little.
Well, it's like they weren't set up for success themselves. They didn't know how to handle that situation.
Exactly. I was about to say that they don't know how to handle those situations.
Yeah.
Right. They really don't. And I think that, so then after that, I started working 40 hours a week just to pay everything off. And I had 2 classes, decided I was going to leave. And then, it was that January, I went to a youth gathering. That's very, very popular. There was basically all of the CHM youth were there, that agreed with this certain thing.
Sure.
So I was there, and I just felt like, I was like, Lord, I don't know if I'm going to continue to be a Christian. And, I just felt myself being like, Nichole, you got to make a decision. And they were singing "It Is Well" for a person who is in a constant state of a panic attack. You don't sing it as well, like, because you don't know. And then it makes you have more anxious, which feels like conviction while you're having the anxiety, because that's what you're taught that
Absolutely.
is. So I was like, all right, Lord, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a Christian. I'm going to do it. And I felt him say, then go to the altar. They were singing "It Is Well." And I was going to like interrupt the church service. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm doing it. All right. I said I was going to do this. I said I was going to be a Christian. So I'm going to obey you and follow you. And I went up to the altar, and I opened the altar call, and there was this great big altar call. And the person that was preaching that gathering was my pastor at the time of this happening. And when I was up there, I didn't know why I was up there. I was in the middle of a panic attack. I didn't know what was happening, what was going on. And he says from the platform, he didn't come down to me. He said from the platform, "Nichole, do you have it settled?" And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know why I'm up here.
Right. What does that mean? Yeah. What does it mean?
Right. What does that mean? Because I didn't come up here with like a sin,
Right.
I came up here because I felt like the Lord told me to.
Right.
So I'm up here. And so he's like, all right, well, let's pray again. And so we like continue praying. And I'm just sitting there like, Lord, let me feel something so I don't have to lie to this guy. Or
I've been there. I know.
If I lied to him and said that I did have it all settled when I didn't, then I would have even more anxiety about lying.
Right.
Yes.
So, and then he wouldn't let me go until I lied to him, basically. And this was
Sure. Yeah, they will not take no for an answer. They yes, I've been in those situations. Wow.
So then, and by this time, everybody else has already gone to their seats, and I felt like all eyes were on me. And so by the third time, he said, Nichole, do you have it settled? Oh, wait, no. The second time he said, Nichole, do you have it settled? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, you don't know? And he addressed the entire congregation. He said, let's all pray for Nichole. This is not just some girl. This is one of mine. Let's all rally and pray with her. And not only was everybody thinking of me, which made me very uncomfortable, they were also knowing that I was struggling up there.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, after the third time of saying, do you have a settled? And I said, I don't know. He said, all right, well, that's all we can do for today. And basically dismissed the altar call.
Wow.
So I went back to my seat freaking out.
Sure.
It ended up when I got home, I asked my best friend's mom at the time, I said, we have to go church shopping. We have to. And the first church we went to was the church I'm attending now, and I will never look back.
Yeah.
Never look back. I walked in with a ring on my finger, which I was still, an attendant of a Bible college. So that was a no-no.
Right.
And Pentecostal church, which that's a no-no.
That's a no-no. Yeah. I go to one myself. There's our no-nos.
And I forgot the ring was on my finger. And it was like this, and they were preaching love at us. It wasn't condemnation. It was all love. It wasn't that, if you do this, you're going to go to hell. It's you get to experience Jesus and go to heaven. It was all good news. It was all out of love.
Mm-hmm.
And there I recommitted my life back to the Lord, and I started working on the bitterness and hatred towards the CHM, because it wasn't just that preacher. It was everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was my parents. It was my mom. It was my old pastor, my current pastor. It was all these people, the people that called me not marriage material, the people that would never talk to me when there was somebody else around. It was like all of these different people that I had held all these grudges and bitterness against that I had to start forgiving.
Right.
And I think the biggest aha moment for me was I went out to eat with my grandpa, who, was one of the spiritual parents. And he said, why did you leave? And I told him that story that I just shared. And he said, now, do you blame that? Do you say that that is the reason why you left the CHM? And I said, just basically I've held a lot of bitterness against it. I held a lot of bitterness against him for saying, beware sheep's clothing, when I started going to the church I'm going to now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so I said, I don't think that is the reason, but the Lord used it to show me that I was in an unsafe place.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah. And hey, I forgot to say this at the very beginning. The reason that I'm coming on here is not to belittle or shame or disrespect or put that out there. That's why I'm not using names.
Right.
That's why I'm not saying the Bible college that I'm going to, because my intention is to come on here and say what you said. You are not alone.
Yeah.
If you have depression and you're terrified to take medication, talk to somebody, because I put off taking medication for my depression and anxiety for years, because the Lord was supposed to take care of it. If I would pray hard enough, the Lord would take it away.
Oh, yeah.
All that kind of stuff. I want to do a mental health episode with you. I think it'd be fun.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that is not addressed very much at all. It's so under addressed in the CHM.
Yeah. When at the conference that we went to, with the women's conference, a great story, they were talking about how so many people are struggling and they're suffering in silence.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was like, I never I never forgot that, suffering in silence. That is so true.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
It's so true. So I think I've started addressing that bitterness, and that's one of the reasons too why I was scared to come on here is because I am nervous about what people are going to say, because I'm just on this broadcast.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the community that I have inside of the CHM, I want to treat my story and treat them with enough respect so that they know that I'm doing this out of a place to share what I've been through, not to slander or to, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that's something too that I feel like that I'm not clear enough on or don't say enough. I know good people in that movement, and I have no desire to slander them or make them feel bad or, to disrespect them. But in the end, the truth has to be told and has to be stood for. So
right.
Trying to find that balance can be challenging, but I think you're doing a good job of it.
Thank you. That's the nicest thing you've said to me all day.
The nicest thing I've done. Oh, jeez, Nichole, you've got a really good story. I really enjoyed hearing that. I think it's unique too. It's a unique story. I've never really heard one from quite that perspective. But you talked how you were let out of it and stuff, and it's I think there's a lot of people can benefit from what you got to say. I know you mentioned in the past about starting a podcast. I'm telling you ought to do it.
Yep. If we can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it by myself, man.
That's all right.
Well, you just got to find. I'm sure there's more people out there.
Find your people and then go off of that.
Yes, indeed.
Find your people and go off of that.
The thing is, you got to find somebody that's crazy, like Kanan. You have to find a Kanan for your show.
Right.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, wait. I'll find someone crazy, and then we'll fall in love. It'll be a love story.
Hey, you never know.
Well, that's what happened to me and Kanan. Everybody knows that.
See? And I was going to say, I can't share Mariah with you. I'm sorry. She's already mine.
It's been good.
It's been great.
You good enough?
I am very tired, but I'm ready to go get my baby.
You are getting tired of it.
I am. I'm getting tired. I'm sorry.
Once again, thank you, Nichole, very much for coming on. If anybody wants to write us, wants to comment on the episode, send us an email at hillbillybroadcast@aol.com. You can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, places like that.
And if you would like to be on the show, just let us know, too.
Yeah, let us know. Good
You
Lord.
can be in Nichole.
It was super easy.
That's right.
Yes,
and we bashed everybody all day long, right?
That's all we do.
Yes. We sit there and hate on everybody.
That's what they tell us.
And keep leaving us those negative reviews, and we'll keep reading them on here and letting you know what we think.
We need content. I love y'all.
Absolutely, we do not.
Jesus
we got way
loves
too
you.
much stuff.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.